Are you ever hopeless? Do you ever lose hope?
No. I'm never hopeless.
So what do you say to people who are really scared right now?
I would say that things are going to get better. Things, we have to continue the fight. And that's what we plan to do.
There is only the fight, as Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton told her husband, Bill. That was Dr., not a doctor, Jill Biden talking to fluffer Mika Brzezinski on MSDNC. She's never without hope. I mean, how could you be without hope? Her husband was elected president of the United States. Demonstration of hope against reason, hope against logic. Hey! And there's only the fight. No, we're not without hope. Things are going great. You see Janet Yellen telling us yesterday that the economy is great and the middle class has never been better off. It's so wonderful. They're doing a great job. Bidenomics is working. And if it's not working for you, it's your fault. That's what they're telling 311 million people. Because the other 19 million are, suckling on the government teat. Well, happy Friday to you and welcome. Let me get right to the madness. The Biden administration, the worst administration in the history of the country, President Trump said this morning on Truth Social, among other things. Great stuff. Now, the world has gone mad, and really it's because, you remember when President Trump was president and gasoline was $1.87 a gallon, and there was peace in the Middle East, and President Trump established with his son-in-law, who is attacked all the time, Jared Kushner, 3 peace deals between Israel and Arab countries surrounding them that have been historically hostile. They were on the precipice, yea, on the brink of a peace deal between Israel and Saudi Arabia when the Democrats took over. And now there's mayhem everywhere. And isn't it great? You know, what is that? That Victoria Nuland soundbite comes to mind again, because Victoria Nuland, a career Democrat, government apparatchik in and out. When she's out, she makes lots of money from Democrat groups, but she was at the State Department under Barack Obama. Did she, steal people's luggage or at... No, a different one. Here's Victoria Nuland testifying on Capitol Hill what the Russians do, and see if this sounds at all familiar.
It is classic Russian technique to blame on the other guy what they're planning to do themselves.
Ah, yes, that's see, and they call Trump the agent of chaos and say he'll bring bedlam when they've already brought chaos and bedlam when they riot from coast to coast. War in the Middle East, now 2 wars in the Middle East, and war in Europe, and shipping under assault going to the Suez Canal. 20% of the world's shipping trade goes through the Suez Canal. Never mind any of that. They are projecting, and they do it quite deliberately and cynically, and they have their allies like Mika, the flotation device, Brzezinski, who is too dumb to know what she said. But then they fluff the likes of Jill Biden. Oh, no, I'm very optimistic. Honestly, my husband, who should be in an iron lung, was elected president from his basement because the news media and they talked about how great Hunter Biden is. But let me get right to the madness in the Middle East. Strikes target Houthi militia, the left-wing Washington Post. And U.S., Britain strike Houthi sites in Yemen, the Washington Times. Left with little choice after diplomatic campaign fails. Yeah, talking to troglodytes and say, hey, would you stop murdering people? And, and then they impale a baby on a pike in front of you and light a cigarette. They still smoke. They still smoke a lot of cigarettes over there. So the U.S. and Britain struck back at Houthi rebels in Yemen on Thursday night, marking the first major retaliation against the Iran-backed militia after weeks of warnings about their repeated assaults on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. using warship-launched Tomahawk cruise missiles and fighter jets. The American and British militaries reportedly struck at least a dozen sites used by the Houthis. And in fact, this morning, the number is about 60 sites, about 100 munitions used, including logistical hubs, air defense systems, weapons storage locations, just the storage locations. President Biden said he ordered the strikes, but the defense secretary also green-lighted from his hospital bed, while watching The Price is Right on television. One of the world's most vital waterways, obviously the Red Sea leading to the Suez Canal, go into the Mediterranean, don't have to go all the way around don't have to go all the way around Africa. I've spent too much time on ships around Alaska, I guess, which had become exceedingly dangerous amid repeated drone and missile attacks by the Houthis. The president said Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands supported U.S. British operations. Now, Australia, who knows what they did? I'm sure, they're a little moral support, sure, we're with you. Bahrain, it's possible that we flew airplanes out of Bahrain. Also, we have naval forces situated in Bahrain. Canada is America's hat and our largest national park. And they said, hey, good on you. Hey, that's real good. That's what they said. And the Netherlands, they brought the women and the pot. They always bring good pot. It's the Netherlands. But so that's the Washington Times. Now let me get to the responses here in the United States. Let's go to soundbite number one, because the left gathered in New York to protest against the United States of America, condemn the United States of America, condemn the United Kingdom, which is their way of supporting radical Islam, supporting the worldwide jihad, supporting assaults on shipping that would like to use the Suez Canal. But never mind any of that. Now, since October 19th, there have been at least 130 attacks on U.S. forces by Iranian proxies in Iraq and in Syria, more than 130. Since November 19th, that was October 19th. Now, since November 19th, 27 ships have been attacked by the Houthis. And they have a lot of advanced weaponry, missiles, anti-ship missiles, drones that are suicide drones. That is, they don't fly and then come back and land. They're drones that just attack ships and crash into them and blow up like kamikaze drones, which is what they are. These weapons are being provided by Iran, and the money to build and provide those weapons being provided to Iran by the Obama administration and the Biden administration, which have given billions and billions, nay, tens of billions to the Iranians. Because, the Democrats are not on our side. Again, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is in a hospital bed, and the media is reporting, it didn't impede his role in this at all, because they lie about everything all the time. Reports that radar sites were hit, launch sites for missiles and drones, and storage facilities. Extraordinary stuff. And the front page of the Washington Post today, above the fold, they've got a picture of people waving Palestinian flags, watching a big screen. South Africa makes case against Israel at international court. The international court is a fundamentally anti-American arm of the United Nations, fundamentally anti-Israeli, and that's above the fold. And it's an anti-Israel story because, they're lefties at the Washington Post, and the left has gone full anti-Israel, which means you're going full anti-Western, because the left is here to subjugate the world. The headline is, Gazans tell of abuse at detention site in Israel. Yeah, that's what's going on. That's the headline. How about the hostages? I think there are still 8 approximately American hostages being held. Is it day 98? Where's Ted Koppel? We need day 98 of America held hostage. But our media has gone so far left, and the Democrat Party has gone so far left, that they literally don't care about American hostages. Kill them. The White House should just put out a statement saying, rape them to death, kill them, because that's what's going on. Torture them to death. Amazing stuff. So let's get to audio. Let's go to soundbite number 1. This is New York, where Democrats came out. We want justice. You say how. Kill the Jews and buy a cow.
We want justice. You say how.
We want justice. You say how.
Stop bombing Yemen now.
Stop bombing Yemen now.
That's justice.
Justice. You say how.
We want justice. You say how.
Stop bombing Yemen now.
They already had. It was only like a 1-hour operation. They already. So your wish is Joe Biden's command. We want justice. You say how. Stop bombing Yemen now. Where do they get these bullhorns? They all have bullhorns. Are they born with bullhorns attached to their hands? Michael, do you own a bullhorn? You don't? You don't. Jasmine, do you own a bullhorn? I don't think she owns a bullhorn. I don't own a bullhorn. I don't. But they do. That's in New York. Just amazing stuff. From Yemen to Palestine, imperialism is a crime.
It is right to rebel.
It is right to rebel.
It's right to rebel.
Go to hell.
U.S. UK go to hell.
U.S. UK.
To Palestine.
Yemen to Palestine.
Imperialism is a crime.
All right, this is the extreme hardcore radical left that the Biden White House embraces, celebrates. Those are a couple of left-wing words, embraces and celebrates. And it is right to rebel, meaning that the Houthi rebels and Hamas and Hezbollah, radical Islamic genocidal terrorist armies, are rebelling. They're rebel without a cause. And U.S., UK, go to hell. See? It is right to rebel. Everything has to rhyme because they have tiny little brains, the size of squirrel brains. Just amazing stuff. That's what they chant. And they love chanting. They love rhyming things. We want justice. You say how. Stop bombing Yemen now. That makes a lot of sense. U.S., UK, go to hell. That's your. In Washington, D.C., Democrats gathered in front of the White House. And they're protesting, too. They're on the side of the Houthi rebels as well. What? Stop. What? Let Yemen live? Let Yemen. It's let Yemen kill is what they're saying. Let Yemen terrorize. Let Yemen make war against the civilized people of the world. Remarkable stuff. There is and again, I made jokes about this to my friends on text threads last night, that the Democrats will be out protesting in favor of the Houthi rebels. And little did I know that they were already organizing. And by the way, they had professionally made signs and banners, union-made signs and banners that they were marching in the street with. And I was sharing that on text threads too. Stop the U.S. bombing of Yemen. It went on for 1 hour and it was over. And that's in New York. And these giant 6-foot banners, professionally made banners that came from print shops. How do they do that so fast? They must have gone to a print shop with a bullhorn. And in front of the White House, U.S. hands off Yemen. And these professionally made, they always have the same bright yellow signs, placard signs with the black print, the big black block print. And that's, they had them made up. I don't know if they were made ahead of time or what. There is a Republican congressman from Florida by the name of Matt Waltz, who was on the television talking about the strikes. What does he think about all this?
Until tonight, our Navy ship captains did not have the authority to shoot at the missiles being launched at them, to shoot at the actual Houthis, shooting at them from shore, even when they detected them. So, look, better late than never.
Better late than never. Sure, a little late to the dance, but what are you gonna do? I've got a whole lot more coming up on this. I've got more audio for you. From Congress and from military smart guys, right? And then we'll move on to a lot of other topics that the Democrats have given us this Friday. They're very generous in giving, aren't they? They're lunatics. They're mentally deranged. They love Hamas. and the Houthi rebels. Soon they might love Hezbollah. Is Hezbollah going to attack us here in the United States of America? Did Joe Biden just light a fuse? Because the radical left-wingers at Politico spoke to intelligence officials who provided some fairly bothersome information, and I will share that with you. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. And the racist Democrats being racist in the name of anti-racism is on display again today from Colorado to Baltimore. Crazy, crazy Democrats. They are out of their minds. You know how you fight racism? By being racist. That's what they have concluded. You got to be racist to fight racists. They're the racists, and honestly, our country is going to turn into a big Jonestown. There's going to be a mass suicide one day. Then, womp 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 womp. I tell you. Let's take a phone call before we get back to all of the madness. And some of it's kind of funny, unintentionally. It's never intentional. They murdered comedy long ago. Let's go to Bill, calling from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Billy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. Love the show.
Thank you.
Those people with the bullhorns, aren't those the same ones that are the climate commies?
Yeah, hell yeah. The Party for Socialism and Liberation is all over this thing. They're making the signs.
Yeah, so why are they saying not to bomb Yemen? I was expecting them to want it to be wiped off the map with all that extra carbon being spewed in the air, having to go around the Horn of Africa and stuff.
You know, that's a great point. Not only are they firing all these missiles and blowing things up and doing their best to kill people and disrupt global trade, but they're forcing all these giant ships to go all the way around Africa instead of going through the Suez Canal, which is not environmentally friendly at all. They're anti-green, aren't they?
Right. Where's John Kerry and Al Gore?
Where are John Kerry and Al Gore? They're somewhere on their Gulfstream jets over the Pacific or over the Atlantic, sipping champagne, probably got some young girls on the plane. Jeffrey Epstein is dead, but Jeffrey Epstein lives on in spirit.
Right, right. What about a politics in a pint up here in Grand Rapids?
Well, you know, that's not a bad idea. I love Grand Rapids. You know, we try to go every year to South Haven, Michigan, go to the beach, and we fly in and out of Gerald R. Ford Airport there in Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is great. You know what? One of the reasons Grand Rapids is great, Bill? Because the people are normal there.
Some of them.
Some of them. You got some libs there too, I guess, huh? A lot more coming up. Thanks, Bill. I want you to know the word straight as in the opposite of gay, is now an offensive word that can't be used according to a left-wing radical extremist school teacher who's perfectly in the mainstream of the Democrat Party. And Johns Hopkins University with the, what is the diversity word of the month? I got to get to that. That's great stuff. So the Democrats out in the streets of New York and the streets of Washington chanting in favor of the Houthi rebels. It's hard to keep up with all the terrorism that they support and love. They are the party that gifted the world the white knights of the Ku Klux Klan, the Democrat Party is, and they gave us the Students for a Democratic Society and the Weathermen, which became the Weather Underground because Weathermen was deemed to be sexist, and the Symbionese Liberation Army, and they're the people that kidnap, Patty Hearst and rob banks and rob armored cars and kill cops to fund the revolution, against America and capitalism and freedom. The left is here. It's an illness, a mental illness. Now, amazing stuff. I just played for you some of the audio from the radical left wing, that is to say mainstream Democrat Party protests in New York and Washington, D.C. in support of radical Islam. And they do it in the name of liberalism. And they always, mostly it's women are the front men. Can you say women are the front men? With the bullhorns. And there is a lot of mental illness out there. And the Democrat Party is leading the way. Boy, are they leading the way toward mental illness. Let's go to soundbite number 5. This is a former U.S. Army soldier, Green Beret, Special Forces, Jim Hansen. Jim Hansen was on the Fox News channel in the 5 a.m. hour today and talking about what's going on in Yemen and Joe Biden bombing yet another country, keeping in mind the Obama-Biden administration bombed more countries than any administration since World War II. Pay no attention to the Democrat Party's proclivities. Democrat presidents, U.S. Civil War, the first Civil War as it's now known, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Democrat presidents, never mind that. And then Obama, Biden bombing more countries than any group since World War II. Now here comes Joe Biden, and there's war in Europe, there's war in the Middle East. The war in the Middle East is spreading, and also there are threats coming now. According to the left-wingers at Politico, a remarkable story yesterday, American Intel, that's short for intelligence. They love to abbreviate, can't use full words anymore. American intelligence officials, plural, warn of risk of Hezbollah attack in the U.S. Hezbollah has more capability to strike inside the U.S., this is what the intelligence officials told the left-wingers at Politico, than any other terrorist groups like ISIS, officials say. U.S. officials assess that there is a rising risk that Lebanese Hezbollah militants will strike Americans in the Middle East, even potentially hit inside the United States. 4, not 2, not 3, 4 officials familiar with the intelligence told Politico. Must have been, drinking or something. The Iran-backed militant group would likely target U.S. personnel in the Middle East first, the officials said, and U.S. intelligence agencies are gathering data on Hezbollah that suggest it could be considering attacks on both U.S. troops or diplomatic personnel overseas, 2 of the officials said. Chance for an assault on the U.S. soil, inside the U.S., is also growing as tensions in the region escalate. So the Politico reported yesterday with their pals in the, that Felonious 51 from the intelligence community, lying to us about the Hunter Biden laptop. But they leak, because the Democrat media, like Politico, and the Democrat intelligence community, they sleep together. Hezbollah could draw on capability they have to put people in places to do something. I loved that line yesterday. Some people did something? That was Ilhan Omar describing September 11th, 2001, right? One of the officials said, referring to a potential attack on the U.S., it is something to be worried about, the official said, talking about Hezbollah striking inside the United States of America. And they get a lot of crazy stuff. 4 officials.
Some people did something?
See, that's kind of what this says in the Politico piece, too. Hezbollah could draw on the capability they have to put people in places to do something? You have to do what? To drench themselves in the blood of innocence? Is that what you're talking about? Yes, it is. All right, now let's go to former Green Beret, U.S. Special Forces operator Jim Hansen, 5 a.m. hour Fox News.
We also need to be prepared for an escalation from Iran in other areas. They may tell Hezbollah and other actors to turn up the heat on either Israel or potentially U.S. Targets around the world.
See, Joe Biden is at the helm, but, it's the good ship lollipop for him because he has no idea what he's doing. And now that, and it's true, you got to hit the Houthis because you can't allow them to control the gateway to the Suez Canal. And at the same time, you are dialing up the heat. And it shouldn't be a one-prong approach. you've got to be standing by for an Iranian response, and they may respond through their many proxies, ISIS-affiliated, Al-Qaeda-affiliated, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Israel, and you got the Houthis in Yemen. This is radical Islam, ladies and gentlemen, and the head of the snake is the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in Iran, Jim Hansen.
Anyone of military age who has wanted to walk across our southern border has been able to do so. And the Biden administration, instead of dealing with that as a threat, has welcomed them, given them resources, and moved them throughout the country. So essentially, we've been bringing everyone in with no idea who they are. And now I'm certain that terror groups, including Hezbollah, have used that to place some of their operatives in the United States.
You see, our open border is an invitation to enemies of civilization, and there are many. Iran being a primary actor, communist China. You know how many communist Chinese have just walked across our border? The numbers are skyrocketing. Eastern Europeans. You remember we had Dzhokhar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who came in from Eastern Europe. They were radical Islamic jihadis that blew up the Boston Marathon. And our open border is an embossed invitation, an engraved invitation to any radical from any organization anywhere in the world that wishes us harm and seeks to do us harm. And the Democrat Party has facilitated that. Joe Biden and the Democrat Party have facilitated that, haven't they, Michael? Yes, they have. Just extraordinary. And so we've had the open border. And as you said, any military-age man can just walk across our border. They get transportation to someplace else in the country. They get health care now being provided by the VA. You see this, the Veterans Administration, not giving veterans always the greatest health care, but lots of illegal aliens are being aided by the Veterans Administration under Joe Biden, because every other organization in our government that would manage that is already overwhelmed, thanks to Joe Biden and the Democrats. So our open border, and it's an open invitation.
There's no chance that they didn't take advantage of this. It's a massive failure by the Biden administration, because the United States inside our borders is just one collection of giant soft targets. We can't protect all of it. And if they decide to take advantage of it, they can, and American citizens will die.
Which is the goal of a great many bad actors around the world, and that's why you have peace through strength, and you have death, war, mayhem, chaos through weakness, and Joe Biden embodies the word weakness. You may recall the FBI director, the smug, sneering Christopher Wray, testifying on Capitol Hill under oath recently, talking about our open border. He was being asked about our open border and the terror threats to the United States with war in the Middle East and so on. And Christopher Wray kind of sounded the alarm, and the news media and the rest of the government completely ignored it.
The ongoing war in the Middle East has raised the threat of an attack against Americans in the United States to a whole nother level. We also cannot and do not discount the possibility that Hamas or another foreign terrorist organization may exploit the current conflict to conduct attacks here on our own soil.
And now the intelligence community is leaking to the left-wingers at Politico that Hezbollah looks like one of the leading actors when it comes to the threat to the United States, which Christopher Wray says has never been as high as it is today.
I've never seen a time where all the threats, or so many of the threats, are all elevated all at exactly the same time.
So, blinking red lights analogy about 9/11, all the lights were blinking red before 9/11. Apparently, obviously, all of us missed it. Would you say that there's multiple blinking red lights out there?
I see blinking lights everywhere.
Since October 7th, the urging a foreign terrorist organization to attack America has gone up. Is that fair to say?
Yes, the threat level has gone to a whole nother level since October 7th.
Whole nother. He likes to say whole nother again and again. Whole nother. He said whole nother twice in the sound bites I just played there. Congressman Troy Nehls was also on the television talking about our wide open border and the threat that it poses. And you may remember just a matter of, about 36 months ago, our border was more secure than it had been in modern times. And Republican Congressman Troy Nehls on this topic.
So how did President Trump to secure the southern border? Because he wanted to put America first. He did it through 21 executive orders and 25 presidential memorandums. And what did Biden do? We haven't, look at the Congress as a whole. Have Congress done anything to secure the southern border? The House side Republicans passed H.R. 2. Chuck does nothing with it. So the point I'm making is Joe Biden is responsible for this invasion, and he could stop it tomorrow, but he won't do it.
Texas Republican Troy Nehls, you're right, he won't do it. And what do the Democrats want to do about our open border? They want it open. They want it more open. They want to keep it wide open. They want... I guess none of the illegals to go to New York and Chicago because Democrats are running those cities into the ground on their own. This is radical jihadi Democrat Pramila Jayapal, who hates America and all of the people in it.
There is so much fear-mongering going on that it is difficult to know exactly where to start.
Yes,
Let me
is.
say this first.
Go ahead.
The Biden administration is enforcing immigration laws.
Yeah, sure.
In fact, the administration has been so heavy-handed in recent months that I have serious concerns about how they are conducting border enforcement.
Truth is not really her thing. She's not a truth person in the conventional or traditional sense of being a truth teller. She's a Lion Sacagawea is what she is. Major Lion Sacagawea. Yeah, he's too heavy-handed. He's over-enforcing our immigration laws. The Democrats are here to destroy the United States as it has existed, as it has succeeded, because they don't want the United States to succeed. They are, you can't call them useful idiots because I believe they know exactly what they're doing. Just amazing stuff. And at the same time, Jerry Nadler, the corpulent lap band representative from New York, he yesterday was on a tear. He says we need lots of illegal aliens because he's got to eat more. Or, I'll explain. But here's Jerry Nadler. We need illegal aliens because we need slave labor.
And we need immigrants in this country.
Yes, we do.
Forget the fact that the farm, that our vegetables would rot in the ground if they weren't being picked by many immigrants, many illegal immigrants. The fact is that the birth rate in this country is way below replacement level, which means our population is going to start shrinking.
Replacement.
And the ratio of people on Social Security and Medicare is going to increase relative to the number of people supporting them.
Genius. Now, why would he obviously is not a vegetable eater. Oh, I guess... Well, Michael pointed out this morning, the things that Jerry Nadler does eat, they eat vegetables. See, the livestock, they need some kind. That's Jerry Nadler. And wait a minute, did he say replacement? Is he peddling the replacement theory conspiracy? What kind of a radical is Gerald Nadler, also known as Wadler? He said that our birth rate is such that we're not replacing. Don't you guys want to reduce the world population? And if we're succeeding at that, then that is a strike against us. And we need to replace, that is, we need a replacement program by bringing in illegal aliens to do menial labor jobs so that Jerry Nadler can keep eating, and to replace our population because we're not reproducing at a rate sufficient. But again, you keep telling us we're supposed to be reducing our population. Shouldn't we be the model for the world? Replacement theory Jerry there. And of course, slave labor because he needs to eat.
Next week, the penguin waddles again.
And I promise I'm going to move on to crazy Democrat racist stuff, which they have a lot of. Cobble Kirby was on MSDNC this morning with the inflatable Mika. And He said that the Secretary of Defense, who's laid up in the hospital, had prostate cancer, prostate surgery, and a prostatectomy, which doesn't sound like fun. And they're pretending, oh, yeah, he's right in the loop here. Everything's fine. Pentagon, hospital bed, what's the difference?
Secretary Austin ordered these strikes. He's been in the hospital, as we've been reporting, since January 1st. Can you shed more light on how he directed these strikes from the hospital?
He was involved actively and intimately all day yesterday with the national security team here at the White House and, of course, with the commander-in-chief, with President Biden, tracking all the developments and right in on all the discussions and the decisions that were made as we approached the hour where we knew we were going to go ahead and launch these strikes. He was fully engaged even from his hospital bed.
Even from his hospital? Sure, he's in the hospital bed controlling the Pentagon. I can see that happening. The Central Command Air Forces said the Houthi command and control nodes were targeted, munition depots, launching systems, production facilities, air defense radar systems. The strikes involved more than 100 precision-guided munitions, including air-launched missiles and ship and submarine-launched Tomahawk land attack missiles, TLAMs, cruise missiles. And now, of course, the troglodytes are vowing retaliation because that's what they do. And they're declaring this attack to be folly. Houthi official says U.S.-British attack a folly and unjustified, and promising retaliation because they're troglodytes. And this is the world we live in. That's why the world needs the United States of America to be on top of our game and to lead the free world against those that would destroy, kill, and enslave. And that includes the Houthis and Hamas and Hezbollah. And that's why we should control our border and not have an open border where millions and millions of military-age men walk into the country and then get tickets to be distributed around the country. Lone wolf attacks, coordinated attacks. September 11th, 2001, there were 20, including Zacarias Moussaoui, but 19 hijackers that caused all that mayhem. And, of course, Congresswoman Cori Bush and Pramila Jayapal and other Democrat members of Congress are angry at the United States, like the protesters in the streets in favor of the Houthis, Democrats all. Hey, I got more crazy Democrat racism coming up.